Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hartland Selectboard meeting on November the 17th. It is 5:30. The first order of business for us this evening are the Selectboard minutes. We have minutes from both the regular meeting on the November 3rd as well as the executive session. I would entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Clyde. And Tom. Okay. Any discussion? John, I'd like to correct under old business the town highway and culvert policy. We're attempting to consolidate 4 separate policies into one rather than 2.
We'll get that done.
Okay. And then I would like to clarify that we approved for the Hartland Farmers Market, when Nina made the presentation, we actually approved 4 sessions at $25, not 4 at $100. Big great revenue for the town, but this part. And the final thing I would ask my colleagues about, under the volunteer fire department and Hartland Rescue Squad, should we mention the reference to the state statutes that allows a public organization like the fire department to not require the petitions? It's not spelled out there, and I think someone in the future may want to know what the reference was there.
Yep.
Okay. Any other changes, suggestions? Comfortable with the executive session as well? Then all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next item are the accounts payable or the warrants through today, November the 17th. Again, I need a motion to accept them.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jim. A second. It's your turn, Tom. Second. Thank you, Tom.
I don't want to get overwhelmed again.
I know, we're only 5 minutes into it. You're worried about where UVM is going to be placed. I know, it's just, any discussion? I think I said that.
Quick question. What's the Brown Dog Trails pump truck?
That is the pump track that's behind the wreck that was built. It's a bike track.
Not a truck.
Sorry?
It says truck here.
Boston Metal pump truck. Well, it does say truck, but it's a track.
Okay. So is that resurfacing?
No, that was a new construction, the project that they built where the old fire pit was, down by the tractor pull. This was built with rec center special revenue income that they get from the Covered Bridges Half Marathon every year.
Is the flagging associated with the paving?
The flagging was associated with the ditch work that was done on the Quechee Road. Yep.
Okay.
So why is there 2 invoices for the flagging and they seem to overlap in dates? From page 3.
They bill us for each week they were here.
Okay.
They were here for 3 days 1 week, 5 days 1 week, 2 days the next week.
Okay. And are we aware that all the bills are in, or is there one?
We have not, the flagging bills are in, we have not seen a bill from D&D yet.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Congratulations on the backhoe.
Yeah, thank you. It was something we needed that.
Just for the general public, we've been waiting for the delivery of this, and finally it's here.
So I was in my front yard when I drove by, and I'm like clapping. The guy must have thought I lost my mind.
It's been used every day.
You know, we get pleased with very simple things around here. So, any other questions on the invoices? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. John, I'm not aware of any adjustments to the agenda.
Nope.
Do you have any? Okay. Moving on to public comments. Is there anything online?
Nope, no chat online.
Okay. Then rolling right into old business. We're here under old business on the first item to talk about the 2027 budget. We've had one previous session where we discussed it at a very high level. Both John and Martin did the presentation. And today is our second session where we try to get into more detail with each of the major groups in town, highway, rec, and public library. We will have yet another session where we again begin to finesse what's going on. John, any opening comments?
No. So again, thanks, Bill. We have talked about this at the last meeting, so you guys have had the chance to, have the budget for a few weeks now. So tonight, BJ, John, and Traci are here to talk about their individual and respective budgets. Well, BJ and Traci are here, and John will be forthcoming.
Okay.
So they are all able to kind of answer questions specifically about lines within the budgets that are in the larger overall budget for FY27.
Okay. BJ, you're up first. Would you just introduce yourself? And
I'm DJ Mattson, road former town of Hartland.
okay, thank you.
I think our budget for the next year is going to be staying pretty well the same, other than salt went way up this year, so I had to go up on that. Went up $11 a ton, which is quite a significant jump. I would like to hire a new position, get another person on the crew, because of all the additional work that we have to get done in this town, meaning ditch work. There's more traffic now in this town than there ever was, and it's getting harder to get more work done, or the work that we are supposed to be getting done. It would also help in the wintertime to plow different sections of town. The west side of town takes about 5.5 hours to plow one time, whereas all the other sections take about 3.5 hours.
How many plows are out there at that time?
We have right now we have 5 trucks.
Okay.
There's 5 people. We're supposed to have 6, but we've been down a truck for 2 years now. So hopefully we'll have that replaced by next year. And we've been using our runabout truck as the replacement right now. So if we get another person in, I could have 2 trucks on the west side. The runabout truck can do the Willow Rose, and it'll be a more timely manner getting the work done. The other thing is I have a great crew, and most everybody's been there for 4 years, other than one guy. So they've accrued vacation time. So when somebody takes some time off, still the same amount of work needs to be done. You can't get that done with less people. So I'm trying to be proactive and get the work done that we need that needs to be done. And if I have another guy, I can have 2 or 3 shifts of people going out, ditch work, grading, everything else that needs to be done in this town.
BJ, you had, is it 6 or is it 5?
We had 6, we have 5. We have 5 in buildings and grounds. Buildings and grounds guy has been busy, and he helps us out doing culverts because he does very good rock work. And he helps us out when he can.
Right. Right.
And we also added some more plowing work for him to do in the wintertime, because there's only 5 of us.
Right.
We used to have 6.
That's where I was going. I mean, so you reduced it by 1 FTE, and now 2 seasons later, you're realizing that.
It's a lot. I mean, we're busy at all times. I don't want to burn these guys out. I know last winter was a very busy winter. We worked every holiday. It could be very helpful to have another person on.
Do you see that services would actually be improved if we had added that additional FTE, went back to 6 from 5?
I think it would get done in a more timely manner. I think it would cut down you can't predict the weather, but the overtime, I think it would cut down on some of that. We have another person. I think I could put like 2 guys here, 2 guys here, and 2 guys here, instead of, right now there's an odd man out, so
Right.
I got 2 guys, and then this guy's running around doing something.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Great. And would there be any additional or new services that you've been thinking of that you'd be able to do during the summer, primarily with summer maintenance? Or?
I think we'd be able to do some more. We'd be able to have a flagging crew out kind of thing, instead of putting on the back burner or trying to not to get out there to do something because we don't have the personnel to do it.
Right.
I'd be able to get, have a crew go out and do the correct flagging on Quechee Road. We got to do some ditch work out there, or we got to do something out there, get a tree. Mm-hmm. There's so much to be done. There's so many culverts in this town that backhoe should be out, getting every culvert opened right now. And we're hauling sand. Every guy's out there hauling sand right now. Yeah. I could have one guy in the backhoe that's out there. Right now we're hauling sand. There's a loader down at the sand pile with nobody in it. The guys in the dump trucks have to get out, load their trucks, which is fine. Right. But it's taken, if I had somebody in that loader, I'd be able to get 6 or 8 more loads throughout the day.
Yeah. And that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just one of those things. This time, it helps out.
Right. Okay.
I think that he's been able in a year to reduce the amount of complaints about our roads with a reduced staff. Mm-hmm. And if he was to give him the opportunity to have another staff member, it would help him even more, because that seemed to be one of the major complaints that we have in our town, is the road conditions. People move a lot more than they used to, from home to downtown. There is a lot of new people in town, and big complaint has been the roads in the past, and they have been getting better, and the complaints are definitely down. But with another person, I believe that would truly help.
So John, with the highway stuff baked in, what's the projected increase in the total town budget?
4.8%
Across the board.
across the board. Across the board.
So, BJ, and so I'm just going to ask these questions, not that I'm approving or disapproving of anything, but just some of the things that are larger, just try to get a better understanding, and also so the town people that are listening can hear. So there's a fairly substantial increase in both summer and winter maintenance. What goes into those increases? I know you said it was salt.
So that's staff.
So that's the staff?
That's staff.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that, if I understand correctly, as I look at the numbers, that's the increase of the FTE.
Correct.
As well as
the new
COA.
person. That's the new person. Correct. Right. To BJ, the things that have been added, we added a line item for line striping. Mm-hmm. We got a grant to do line striping a couple of years ago, which is really helpful. We've noticed that, pick up the need for it. I don't think Rob wants to be hand painting curbs
No.
in the future. So if we had, we put money in the budget for things like that.
I think we had that grant for that line striping, for that fog line on the Brownsville Road and Quechee Road. And I feel like it really stuck out and helped out driving at night on our dirt road, on our paved roads. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to have that done every year because it fades out every year, just like the yellow stripe.
So one suggestion, or one thing you may want to look at is if we're increasing staff, we probably shouldn't be increasing the overtime budget. Maybe we should be decreasing this later.
That I kind of agree, but I can't predict what the weather is. Winter storm, it might cut us down 2 hours, but you never know what kind of storm it could be. It could be a foot storm that's going to be a
Right.
14
I would
hours
suggest cutting it completely, but there might be some.
Right. We also anticipate with the added person, if the budget is approved, a reduction in the person who would be doing the roadside mowing over the course of the summer. This past summer and previous summers, it's been a full-time position, basically from, when school is out until the middle or end of August. I think we can anticipate that going down to a half-time
What I see
position.
is a fair increase over 2025 actuals in 2026 budget. So maybe you just keep it more in line with 2026 if we're adding another body.
Which one specifically are you looking at, Jim?
Winter maintenance overtime.
Winter maintenance overtime, yeah.
What page are you on?
2 to 4.
Highway expenses.
Okay.
No, I know when I did the numbers, the overtime, I had to add 150 hours for the new person, just to cover, just in case. I don't know, maybe we could bring that down a little bit.
Martin, we generally take a rolling 3-year average for overtime, that's correct? So we take a, kind of continuous 3-year average for overtime for winter. And last winter kind of skews that in the wrong direction because it was a heavy winter. But I see what your point is taken.
We've been concentrating on labor, but if I understand the numbers, your labor is only about 30% of your budget. So the biggest impact is the cost of materials and maintenance of the trucks.
Yeah, the maintenance of the trucks, that's gone skyrocket. Because you gotta have, we do our oil changes and fuel filter changes and tire changes, but anything majorly done wrong, they're getting $200 an hour to work on the rigs. So you're getting, your parts are cheaper than the labor rate. So we try to get our trucks inspected every year. That could be, a rusted shock that works fine, but it can't have rust on it, so they gotta put a new shock on.
Yeah.
And those chains that are on the tires tear out those shocks all day long.
Right. I'm always shocked at the cost of the chains, speaking of.
Yeah, chains have gone up, everything's gone up. The sand is going to be going up because we went through so much last year. We went through our reserve. So I had to go above what was budgeted a little bit this year. And hopefully we don't go all the way to the blocks and use it all this year. But we went through almost all of it last year.
Yeah.
Which in 19 years, I've only seen that done twice.
Yeah.
We also, when it comes to the added staff position, estimate high. You'll see the big movement in the health insurance costs. So we put in the highest number we can for that new person. Maybe it's that cost, but the chances are we could see a reduction there as well if it's approved.
And you're saying you put the highest options in, not the.
Like it's a family plan.
We put a family plan,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
The highest cost plan to the town.
Okay. BJ, this is always a hard question for me to ask. I'm going to ask everyone here that's represented. We have responsibility to the town to keep our costs down. We're not talking about cuts here tonight, but if you were sitting here looking at your budget, might there be some cuts that or areas that we might look at should we need to cut?
Well, as, you know, like the line striping thing, I think it's a very beneficial factor, but that's an extra item that we put in this year.
Yeah.
Cut that, you know, I don't know, it's tough to say. I don't really know how to predict the winter, obviously, so chain budget, I keep where it's at.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough to do. I can cut down a little bit on the sand.
Right.
We up that a little bit, but it's because we're gonna get that pile back up.
Okay. I realize it's a tough question.
It's a pretty tight budget that I'm running.
Yeah.
You know, I could cut down on some culverts a little bit, but I use up all the culverts on their budget that we get every year.
Okay.
And we've been putting out more culverts than we ever have, so it needs to be done.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, we did try to reduce it where we were not kind of meeting the budget. I'll use guardrails as an example. We had not been spending the full guardrail budget annually. So we added line striping, but that money came from the guardrail budget basically.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Jim?
It's kind of a different question, different department, but so let BJ finish.
Oh.
That's it. We could use another person, and I'm hoping that you guys approve it and the town approves it. That'd be nice.
Can we pick the person?
Yeah. If he wants to go for that amount, that'd be great.
He comes with his own tractor.
Yeah.
You see my driving? Yeah. Not good.
It's really your snowplow.
So I have a question. This is more towards the Quechee Road. So we've been just talking back and forth about where we could find, like, say, money under the cushions to try to pay for that. What would your reaction be if we said to be able to pay for the Quechee Road, we would suspend paving for a year and take that $300,000 and put it towards the Quechee Road?
That's the plan next year, to put all that money towards Quechee Road. That's where the paving needs to be done. The rest of the town that I see, we've done a good job, and I plan on getting the crack sealing company back up here in the spring, just to go over some of the 2-year-old paving that we've done, just to prolong that, which has helped, I think. If you can keep the water out of that pavement where it freezes and thaws out, that's where you get the road moving and cracking and wastes the pavement. So I think next year's budget, or next summer, that $300,000 will go right to the worst sections of Quechee Road, and hopefully, you know, it'll be a 10-year plan. It's the plan, anyways.
Okay.
You know, also those spots that we will be paving, where there's culverts, we will replace those. So, you know, that'll be helpful. Yep.
Great. Thanks. And I'm anxious to see you be able to. Will you be doing not the hydro seeding, but put in the?
We're going to put some mulch out on those spots, and then in the spring we'll seed it.
Right.
Yeah, but we're going to mulch it probably Wednesday.
Yeah.
The Quechee Road.
And I was just shocked with the cost of grass seed that I needed to buy.
Oh, it's expensive. Yeah. Every time that seeder goes out, it's like $600, and it's only 300 gallons worth of seed water. Doesn't get very far.
My question is actually just because my memory is not kicking in. When John Sanders came, did he say the fire department appropriation would be going up this year?
I believe he said it would be going up, yes.
Okay, because it doesn't look like we have that baked in quite yet.
Into the budget. Okay.
At least the version I'm looking at.
Okay. I'll get that number from John and we'll put it in there.
Okay. Any other questions for PJ? Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You look good in a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah, I was going to wear a cutoff, but still.
Just classing it up, BJ. We appreciate it.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Okay, John, you're hiding behind a column. Okay. Again, just identify yourself, John, if you would, please, for the folks at home.
What was that?
Identify yourself for
My name is
the...
John Leonard. I'm the Hartland Recreation Director.
Great, thank you. Again, John, if you both will just step us through a high level of
Yep.
what's going on, and then John, let's let John Leonard take over.
So with the rec, I think it's important to look at a few sections within the budget that you have, particularly on page 2 of 3 under general fund revenue. While the rec budget is just over $300,000, they do bring in about $180,000 in revenue annually. So the cost to the town is not the full budget amount there. So it's important to look at the revenue that they're bringing in addition to what the budget request is for this fiscal year.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
John.
All right. No, there's no big changes on our budget for this year. Cost of health insurance has been the biggest thing that's pushed the rec center budget up the last couple of years. Our big expenses are also then the part-time labor, so after-school staffing, and summer staff, summer counselors. Youth programs, the price tag you see there, that is the fee that we pay to the aquatic center, to the rock climbing gym. So when we bring a group there and we run a program, the fee that we charge has to cover the expense that we're going to pay and a little bit more. So the youth programs fee that you see, that's us going to the aquatic center, after-school swim lessons, rock climbing, horseback riding, VII's program, bowling alley, and so on. Those are the bigger ones. So whenever we bring a group somewhere, there's a fee that comes with it. So, but the good news is that the more that we pay, that means the more the kids that we have participating. Those have been the programs that have really been the most popular lately with youth, is these after-school off-site programs. We always have about 20 kids or so for the after-school program hosted at the rec center. But then in addition to that, Mondays, we're bringing a group to the aquatic center for swim lessons. Tuesdays, we're bringing a group to Delaney Stables in Brownsville for horseback riding. We frequently do educational programs at VII's. Right now, we have a group going to the Notch climbing gym in Leb. Do you have a question?
Nope.
Oh,
sorry.
No. Do you guys have any questions?
Just one thing caught my eye, was health insurance, because it looks like it's dropping $10,000, which surprises me unless it was a plan.
That's correct. There's a change in my plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
The addition was Mason got added to the health insurance, so that line went up and then was reduced.
Okay.
Reduced for this year. Yeah. Mason aged out of being on his parents' plan last year. He's now 27, so 26 is the limit for being on your parents' insurance plan.
I wish I knew that 40 years ago.
And we've been finding money. Most recently, this was fantastic. Our newest rec committee member, Sarah Bapty, she was the one that actually wrote the application to the Byrne Foundation. We received $45,000 from the Byrne Foundation, which will be covering the entire cost of everyone's ski lessons, tickets for the winter activities program at the school. So for 6 weeks, when the kids come back after Christmas holiday break, they have the choice of going skiing, snowboarding at Saskatoon 6, the bowling alley in Claremont, rock climbing at the gym and lab, or swimming at the aquatic center. And the costs, that $45,000 grant from the Byrne Foundation will cover the cost of everything. So
Right. I think the Upper Valley is going to really miss Dorothy Byrne when she passes, which is getting close.
She's been covering costs and fees for lots of fun stuff for everyone in the Upper Valley.
I'm glad you use those monies, because I know they're there at that point.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So Sarah Bapty, our newest rec committee member, was the one that, she just asked me lots of questions and asked me to come up with pictures, but she was the one that submitted the application.
Great.
That was huge for us. In addition to that, we help with the Cover Bridges Half Marathon each year. It's about 5 meetings, a few days of setting up parking lots, pounding stakes, and then one long Sunday for Mason and I there, driving U-Haul trucks and unloading for 3 hours and then reloading and packing everything up for a year. Cover Bridges Half Marathon just gave us a check last month for $14,000 for that help. That's another great resource. So that essentially has been funding most of our park projects and our additions to the parks. This past year, we added a bike pump track, which John was pretty excited about too.
Still am.
It seemed to it was finished just end of August and got all kinds of great use already. So that's been a nice addition. The walking path, was also helped by some of these funds. Smalls has been doing a great job of turning it over. It's amazing how much grass grows where you don't want it to grow. It looks great right now if you look at it, because we just got it turned over and repacked again for this next year. Also get a fund from Mascoma that helps sponsor our concert series. That's been growing and growing. This last year, I added a food vendor to each one of the concerts. I think the attendance keeps steadily going up, regardless of who's playing. So it's been nice to provide that. I did a couple of concerts here at Damon Hall last year. We've got that lined up again this year. Carlos will be playing the Saturday after Martin Luther King weekend, the 24th. I just spoke to him earlier today, and we're going to do a benefit for food drive, take donations, canned non-perishable food items for the local Hartland food shelf at that concert. Hoping to do 2 or 3 of those this winter.
How many kids do we have participating, say, over the course of the year? Do you think?
The after-school program, I would say, averages about 20 kids a day. When we go somewhere like swim lessons, rock climbing, or the horseback riding, it's about 10 to 13 kids that we bring. The 15-passenger van, there's always an extra chaperone with the one individual. Can't send anybody by themselves in today's day and age. Summer, we average right around 30 kids per day with the core program, but then we also do field trips. And those same thing, the field trips, we did 10 this last year. Field trips were about 10 to 13 kids per day on those trips. The other big thing that we brought back this year was the Maine rafting trip. We hadn't done that since pre-COVID, and people were still skittish on overnights. So Mason chaperoned that along with some parents. Went to the Forks, Maine, where it's a dam release, let out the same amount of water every day at 10 a.m. I've been on a bunch of those trips. So it's great to see that stick again. I think people were finally ready to go for like an overnight trip, overnight excursion again.
Thank you.
John, what programs might you be cutting because they were not effective this year or last year? Or is everything, or are you adding programs?
Right now, I've been talking with Hartland Winter Trails, and we're going to try to offer, this is all going to be whether we have snow, when we have snow, we're going to be trying to offer a little cross-country ski program. Rather than actually the trails, they would like to just go around kind of like the loop, the walking loop area behind the rec center. That's going to be weather pending. That's what I'm working on right now. We'll have a Hartland Winter Trails representative at our rec center committee meeting this coming Wednesday. That's what I'm working on right now, something to add something new. The summer field trip series has been interesting because that was almost our flagship program for such a long time. We would have wait lists. We would be absolutely maxed out. If you didn't sign up before June, you didn't get in on any of the trips. And then numbers dipped on that. I mean, maybe part of it was COVID, people not wanting to be in a van, go for a van ride. But that has been coming back, but it's still not to what it was. The after-school programming has really been the hot ticket lately. Mm-hmm. The swim lessons, the horseback riding, the rock climbing, VIIs, and all of those things. If anything, the numbers that have suffered of traditional sports, and I sometimes wonder, because we offer all these other different things, am I pulling people out of traditional sports? Is that why we don't have as many basketball players or baseball players as we used to, because we're offering so many different other activities to choose from.
Okay.
Yeah, so the traditional sports seem to be the ones that the numbers are dwindling for us more than anything else.
Good, good. John, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the state of Vermont and a number of health agencies about 2 years ago put together a 10-year plan called Vermont Age Strong. And it recognized the aging population in Vermont, which is anywhere around 45% over 50. Right now, there aren't many programs I see on the budget for adults. What's your thinking in that area? And is there will you be trying to grow those over time?
Absolutely. We currently have the senior chair exercise class on Wednesday nights, and we have a Monday morning fitness class. We have someone that attends both of those classes that has hosted yoga classes with us previously as well. But I'm always looking for or open to finding a new instructor to come in and host another class that way. Mm-hmm. We used to do some small field trips with aging in Hartland, and we keep having the conversations and trying to reopen the door to working with aging in Hartland, but we just haven't quite found something that's stuck, or there hasn't been a field trip for them that's been popular enough. John and I were talking earlier today. At an educational conference I went to years ago, one of the most interesting things that I heard was from a study that got millions and tens of millions of people about adult recreation. And what they got back from that was people wanted no registration, no obligation recreational opportunities. So the opportunity to walk around the walking path whenever you want, no registration, to show up for a free concert if you'd like to make use of the tennis court, the backboard of the tennis court by yourself. So like the no registration, no obligation recreational opportunities seems to be the trend. Doesn't mean you still don't want to offer classes, leagues along those things, but the park, the walking path, those sorts of resources seems to be what adults are making use of.
Kind of side note, John's budget did go down slightly year over year.
You were on the same page. I just realized that's what I was going to ask John to clarify that.
I have a question.
Please, Traci.
So is there any time that you would think it'd be appropriate to see how many students participate in a sport a year at Hartland? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I have the exact numbers.
So you have those numbers?
Yeah, soccer is the best. I think what is it?
K to 8.
Yep. We also offer like a little pre-K program too, which has been a big hit lately. I think we're right around 100 soccer players. I don't know off the top of my head for.
And what's the school population?
222.
And then a lot of students come in from other towns to participate in that are homeschooled, et cetera, that aren't in the school?
Yes, so 7-8 soccer, you need a big team, 11 kids on the field at once, 300-foot field. And because Windsor also has had smaller numbers, we have actually taken in the Windsor kids to our Hartland team the last 2 years, which was beneficial to us because for a soccer team, you want a good 25 kids. If everybody's running, you should need subs. So soccer is definitely the best participation. Probably was maybe like 35 to 40% of the school population, maybe a little bit more.
So what percentage of students are affected by the rec department in the population of the school per season?
Per season, just sports or after school program and all programs, or
just athletics at Hartland.
Just
so
athletics.
The after school program, you said there's about 20 students.
20 students per day, yeah.
But, and how many students are there to draw from at Hartland?
How many students in Hartland right now?
Yes.
222, I believe.
222.
Yeah.
It's a far cry from the 500 students that we had.
Yeah.
Where we didn't have enough space to have all the athletes participate. We had to have A teams, B teams, C teams. And I know that the student population has decreased a lot, specifically because of the people that have bought homes in our community. They are retired. They don't have children. So I think that some ground pounding to get students to participate in sports is probably very important for the rec department at this time. And so percentages for you to keep track of, like how many students in the school participate in athletics per year would be a really nice thing to have for us if you could.
Sure. Yep.
And the other thing is, do you have a booster club any longer?
A booster club?
Yes.
No, we do not have a booster club.
With the PTO.
PTO, yep. PTO is essentially the booster club, parent teacher organization.
They nixed the booster club because they hired a rec director. Because people were sick and tired of working hard to make money to support the athletic department, and they just didn't feel that they could continue to do it forever. But things might change here, and we might need to kind of reestablish that in order to help you raise some funds. And I did see that you did decrease your budget, and that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Very hard to do. And I want to thank you for your hard work with the children here.
Thank you. I think the winter activities program, the diversity that we offer, we sent 130 kids to the ski area for 6 weeks of lessons. So where we may not have the numbers in the traditional sports, the baseball, the soccer, the basketball, we got 125 plus kids on the mountain learning to ski or snowboard, and it's covered by a grant.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it's just like, I think people are choosing different activities, but it doesn't mean we still don't go with the traditional sports. The other thing that we hit with traditional sports now is your most talented athletes. You don't necessarily get them on your rec teams. Lightning soccer takes all of our best soccer players. And if you want to be a varsity soccer player, it's almost like the prerequisite now if you have not played Lightning soccer. Just like if you want to be a varsity basketball player, if you have not been playing AAU basketball, you don't have a chance of making a varsity basketball roster. So that's kind of like high school sports, like the demand has gotten higher. So rec level sports we want the brand new person. We want the person that it's a social and they're there and they're getting exercise and it's fun for them, but then that doesn't fit the needs of somebody that is in 5th or 6th grade and is trying to be a varsity athlete. So then we lose them to the AAU programs, to the Lightning Soccers and whatnot.
John, I'm going to ask the same question I asked BJ and I'll ask Traci. Should we as a board need to cut something? I realize your budget's coming in at less than it was last year. Are there any areas that you might bring to our attention to look at?
That's a tough question. I try to be very mindful of the part-time labor because that's a big expense for us. So something that I do on a regular basis is we use group text for the part-time staff, and if I feel like we're in a good situation, would anybody like the day off? It's amazing how quickly that disappears. It usually goes in under a minute. To do that on a regular basis saves us some money. So whenever we can cut a shift, because I feel like we're adequately staffed for the day. We had the opposite of that today. We had 3 people out with legitimate family or health issues. That would be the first thing that comes to mind for me. The other big thing is like the program expenses we pay for the youth programs to visit the other facilities. But then the more kids that we have participating, the higher the cost of that as well. But try to be mindful on purchases. I don't think we have any big purchases coming down the pipeline or whatnot.
Where are we with the vans as far as?
The vans are a 19 and a 20, I believe.
18 and a 19.
18 and 19, we do routine maintenance on them, and we've not had any. In an ideal world, we could fit them in the barn, which is a kind of an ongoing challenge, so they don't sit out in the parking lot all winter.
You said to tires.
And do we have them in our capital program?
The rec vans?
Yeah.
Yes, they are included.
Okay.
Yeah, Martin, do you remember when the last time we replaced the van was?
The purple one went in 2018 to that rusted out.
Right, so hypothetically, what should we have in Do you remember that?
So,
We put away,
We're putting $4,500 a year away for rec van replacement.
Okay, so any other questions for John? Okay. John, thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you, John.
thank you.
Traci? Good.
Hi, Tracy.
Hello.
And please identify yourself for the cameras.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Traci Joy. I'm the library director here in Hartland.
John, do you have any opening comments or just over to?
I do not have any for the library, actually.
Okay. Traci, do you want to start with any high-level
Yeah.
observations, comments?
So the library's been operating on a really small, slim budget for a few years, and this year, a lot of our increases are staff-related, and we have a couple of new lines this year as well. I did increase, based on patron feedback, the book budgets for children and adults. I added a little bit of money to our programming budgets, which is $600 each for the amount of programming we do. It's pretty minimal. But yeah, you'll see that a lot of our increases are insurance related. There's the COLA increases. We did include a merit increase line for the first time in case we wanted to give somebody a raise mid-year.
I thought there was a merit increase last year as well. There is one on the budget last year.
No, not on the budget report.
Oh, I just saw it today. Okay, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'll find it.
No, this is the first year.
Okay.
Yeah. So, are there any questions?
If you look at, so I think, what's the COLA,
3.28.
So the town in general is getting 3.28%.
Correct. Correct.
Increase. But if we include the merit, the libraries are really double that number. So, I mean, it's just, we're treating some town employees differently than others.
Well, a COLA increase isn't a raise, it's a cost of living increase to
It's a salary increase, payroll increase.
Yep, to basically so that employees can afford some of the things that have increased, such as rent, food, etc. So that's what a COLA increase is. It's not a merit increase.
Right.
A merit increase would be based on job performance.
But my only point is we're treating some employees differently than the bulk of employees.
When we do merit increases as the town, we make up for that through, deficits.
So you are doing merit increases?
We do merit, we not every year for every employee, but as appropriate, we do merit-based increases for staff in addition to the COLA. And then we make that budget up throughout the course of the year then, if we make that choice.
So this is more putting aside the money just in case it's not
So you're budgeting it, you're
automatic.
borrowing it.
My granddaughters love going to the library. That means a lot to me.
You should go sometime.
I should go to the library, get away from the road crew, right? Is there like a step pay for the administration? I know that the teachers have a teacher union, and is that how that works? Do they have a step pay system?
There's not a scale.
There's no scale?
There's no scale.
That's not their business. You have your own group that the library board of trustees takes care of that.
Correct. Yeah. So we annually get a salary survey from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, that they poll all towns and those who submit feedback, so we know what the average clerk pay is, or what the average assistant treasurer pay is, and things like that. So we use that as a kind of a guide occasionally. It's a good reference check.
It also looks like somebody's getting increased hours, right? Because somebody's salary went up significantly.
That increase is for one position. She's part-time. It's a position that we created about a year and a half ago, and it was supposed to be 25 hours per week when I created the position. So on the job description, it says, up to 25 hours. We are finding that we do need those extra hours. Our total open hours have increased, so we're now open 36 hours a week. We also, with the mind to have even later hours at some point, so that's been an idea that the board and I have been talking about, is increasing those hours. A lot of our patron and community feedback has been about, I want the library open later. I want programs that start at 6. So we have been listening and we've been doing that. So as a result, we have more nighttime programs starting at 6. Now I think we've increased that like double or triple. And then we also keep the library open a lot for groups. Sometimes I'll just be there to sort of staff the library while a group is meeting, so they don't have to get a key code and I can help them close up or whatever it is. So the extra staff hours from that employee is to help with some of this staying open later, helping with programs, and yeah.
Traci, how do you actually measure your organization, your library? We're just hearing from John talking about the number of programs and the number of students and so on and so forth. Do you measure books checked out, or the number of patrons, or participants in programs?
We measure everything in terms of the numbers. So we have the numbers of visits. They're all, like, anyone who comes through that front door is counted, not the side door, but through the front door. We count all of our program attendance for adults and children. We count all of our checkouts, including online checkouts. So basically anything that can be quantified, we have that data.
Mm-hmm. Good. How are those trends going?
So right now we're seeing higher rates of checkouts online and less books getting checked out, less physical copies of books. We're seeing month to month, our visitor stats are, like, last month they were down, this month they're up. So they're 5% more than last time. So we're seeing a lot of weird trends, actually, since probably March, I would say, that people's reading and habits have changed a bit. We're seeing a lot more people coming into the library overall, and a lot more people coming to programs, but less people are checking out books. So I don't know what that means, but also more people are reading online. So they're reading through Libby or through Palace, through the state. So it's interesting. Last year, we had 18,166 visitors into the library for 1 year. So that was an increase over last year. I don't know what it's going to look like this year. We're talking fiscal year. That's how I measure the statistics.
Right.
So I do know that based on toilet paper alone, we're changing out at least a roll a day right now. And when soccer is going on, it's like more than that.
So these new trends, what does, just sort of thinking longer term, what do you think you need to do as the library director to sort of meet those new challenges? It seems like, right, fewer people are taking out books, but more people are reading online, or I do like listening to books on tape or whatever, but also reading. but you have a lot of visitors.
We have a lot of visitors, yeah. So we are increasing our programming. So, I mean, we've been increasing it. So we do have a lot of offerings for people of all ages. My particular, I do adult programming there. So that means I'm like a little more plugged in terms of like what that population needs. I work with Aging in Hartland, and they use the library a lot, and so we've got like, they're doing their speaker series there. We have our senior cafe. We just sort of monitor the trends, and then I do a lot of like outreach and get a lot of feedback from people to see what the community needs are. So I have another survey going out at the end of this year. So in our December newsletter, I'll have another survey going out, and it's based on programming. So it's like, I want to hear from everybody, what do they want to see? So then we kind of plan from those community needs and wants what we do at the library. So it is kind of a reflection of exactly what the community is asking for.
Just a follow, so the 18,000, what percentage of them are just like using the community space, that great space you have there?
Well, that's like a low number, because the people who just use the community room aren't getting counted. So that's just the front door.
Oh, okay, that's what I was wondering. That's what I was getting at.
So if someone's coming in the side door for an event, they're not actually counted in that statistic. So I don't really know how much more the number, would be. Then there's people leaving the library, maybe coming back, so accounting for those numbers as well.
So,
Tina has a question.
Hold on one moment. Are you finished with it? Okay. Yeah. We have two hands up. Tina?
Yeah, Tina Skian, I'm of the Hartland Elementary Hartland Elementary School Librarian, and I'm also on the board here, but I would just say that libraries are changing. I mean, even my statistics at school of the kids that are reading are down. Actually taking physical books are down. They're reading more, I would say, because they are taking a book out and actually reading the book, rather than taking it out and return, take it out and return. So that's one thing I would add to that. I would also say that libraries are not the same as they were when we were all in school. It's not a shushy place where you go and sit with a book. It's an active place. It's a community place. There are a lot of different things going on. So I would just commend Traci that she's moving with the flow of where all libraries are going. So I just wanted to add that when you're like worried about the number of circulation going down. I just wanted to input that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I was one of those kids that got shushed a lot.
I don't.
And I appreciate that. It's less shushing.
Less shushing.
Still today, Traci, where to be?
For anyone who's interested in numbers, so the total visitors I stated, total community room usage for that fiscal year last year was 275 instances of usage recorded. The upstairs meeting room was 250 instances of usage recorded. The total physical circulation, that's books going out, was 24,725. That means checking out. For programs, we had 180 adult programs, and we had a total of 2,400 attendees. That's a lot of people coming in for just programs. For youth, we had 190 programs with 1,900 attendees. In our total collection, we have just over 22,000 items in that building. And for our online checkouts, we had 8,100, 8,144.
So Sherry has a question.
Yeah, can you go over the labor part again? If I again understand the numbers that we have, your labor is almost 80% of the entire budget. So help me again with what the increase is.
So
besides the merit, you spoke to the merit already.
One staff member, she's at roughly 20 to 21 hours right now. She will be increasing to 25 hours per week.
Right.
And
So
that's to help support all of the library programming we have going on, and basically like staying open a little bit later for some of our adult programs. That also means she gets Vermont State retirement. So that's part of the increase as well.
Okay.
Is that the circulation services coordinator?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I have to be careful here with questions from the audience, but I'll take a few. Rob?
So, John, you mentioned before that you do a salary comparison. Of course, the skeptical side said, you said some people don't report it, and I'm like, okay, are they the ones that are paying higher and they don't want to report it? Just a thought. You know, I don't know if there's any validity to it, but you said that different positions in the town, and I wasn't sure if that included the library staff at other town libraries, so you have a good comparison, because when I look at their salaries, I don't know how they survive off of that.
Right.
So,
Right. It does include library staff.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not a circulation services coordinator, for example, but we have library director and things like that. Yeah.
And are we competitive?
I don't know. The last time Martin's shaking his head, yes.
We're pretty much competitive. We had to become competitive because we hired in the highway department over the last 6 years I've been here. We've had to go up immensely just to get resumes and use
Are you talking about library? Or?
Yeah, I was talking more about the competitive on the library.
Yeah, we are competitive on the library.
Staff.
Yep, we are. We
Sure.
look at that.
Thank you.
You okay? I see you're back there. I want to make sure that.
I can talk to Traci.
Yes.
Anything.
If I could speak to the circulation services coordinator in that position in general, Chris Street, and I'm on the board of trustees for the library. It's my understanding that we want this to be a more permanent position. There used to be multiple part-time positions that were really hard to keep full. With the reduced hours, people would move to a different library to get a full-time job, and then we'd be scrambling and rehiring, and it was a constant cycle, and we're trying to get out of that so we could just have more stability overall. Does that sound right, Traci?
Yeah, that's right.
So we're having that issue of staff across.
Exactly.
Getting highway staff is always a challenge, but thank you for that insight.
So the reason we're asking you more questions than the others is we've done a 5-year projection, and the library is the highest over 5 years. So you've had a 50% increase over 5 years, and compared to the rec center was 13%. And so that's why we're digging in as much as we are.
I think part of that increase you're talking about was a couple of years ago. The board did increase the salaries of library staff to make us more competitive with other people and to try to keep people around. So that was I think 2 years ago, or 2.5.
Well, even this year, you're up to almost 10% compared to last year. And all the other budgets most of them are negative or 2% or 3%. So
Yeah.
again, we're just asking the questions, and so.
It makes sense. Yeah, you're doing your due diligence.
Yeah.
I would say for us, in terms of the rest of the budget, not including staff, everything's gone up. This past few months, the book vendor that we've used for years, Baker and Taylor, actually there's evidence of the Hartland Library using Baker and Taylor in 1936 that I found in the archives, but they're defunct now. And so that's a big loss for us. That means that we're not going to get some of those steep library cuts that we were getting. We're moving to another vendor called Ingram, but the discounts aren't as great, and it's also a huge challenge to even migrate. So in the meantime, we're using a lot of other sources like thrift books or Amazon, or going to a bookstore like Yankee or wherever. And that means we have to process those books in-house. That's a ton of staff time. It's also a lot of resources. So I did separate out, one of our budget lines was the office supplies budget line, and I separated it out with a book processing and repair line because of this, because we're spending so much more on book repair and supplies. But yeah, to answer your question, everything across the board has gotten more expensive, including mail, which is part of what offering is like the interlibrary loan system. So that means if you come into the library and we don't have a book that you're looking for, we'll find it at another library and it'll be shipped in a courier system that we have. That has gone up significantly as well. We used to do 2 stops. So that means the courier would pick up twice a week, drop off twice a week. Now we're just doing it once a week and cutting that in half. So that was a big savings for us. But yeah, everything is increasing.
Thank you.
Speaking of savings, I need to ask you the same question as I asked PJ and John, but we're all waiting for what the impact of the school budget is. We don't know that yet. We just don't know what we're going to be operating under. But should we be needing to trim the library budget, is there an area that we might be look for?
Probably the legal line, I would say. It's a new line that's set up for reviewing legal documents, library policies, and any other things. So I would say maybe that line.
Okay, good. Okay, anything else? Trace, Clyde, you've been quiet, anything?
Since we never have a crowd like this in the room, just want to say one of the things we're really struggling with, and you heard me ask BJ, we're trying to figure out how to fix the Quechee Road. It's a $6 million fix.
$6.1 million fix.
And, we thought about bonding and this and that, and our taxes would just go up so much. But at some point, we have to fix that. We have to fix the road. So that's why we're really trying to ask these difficult questions, because many of us here are taxpayers in Hartland. We know what it's like. I mean, and it's tough. So that's one of the things that's in the background through all of this.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I mean, it's just later on in the meeting, we're going to chat about that a little bit, but that's a very real cost. The number comes from the engineering study that we had done over the last year and a half or so. Yep. So not quite. Good. Traci, thank you.
Well, thank you
very much. Okay. Again, our plan is to, if there's any general comments that we should have up right now amongst ourselves now or at the next meeting, we'll be bringing this up again with the idea that we need to finalize it so we can post it and bring it to the town in March.
So
any thoughts?
Are we adopting it next meeting, or when are we thinking of adopting it? Okay.
So I still think so this was kind of the big chunk of the budget, right? Rec, library, highway. We still can talk about, the smaller pots like animal control, assessment. So police services, we talked about it briefly. We didn't make any decisions about police services, Conservation Commission, Planning Commission, things like that.
But those are small.
Those are small, but
they probably haven't changed much.
Right, they have not changed much. But to Tom's point that he just made, if we're looking at potentially bonding, we might want to trim all of the excess if we want to go down that path, or at least take a look at the budget as a whole in all the lines. Martin and I feel confident that what you have is, by and large, what we can do. But if the board wants to see additional reductions, we can certainly have that discussion.
Right. Yeah. Martin?
John, we should fix 2 things. The police budget, if they wanted to see what the numbers would look like, and the fire department appropriation to the right.
Is this thing on? Didn't I just say the police budget?
I think we should put the police budget in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Trace.
Just one final time.
I did not
So I'd like to see what the increase is going to be with that in there,
Yes.
because it's absolutely needed.
Right.
Yeah. And thank you to the finance department for helping us understand some of the trends that we were looking to.
It's really helpful.
Yeah, very, very helpful on that part. Because traditionally, we've only looked back 1 year and trying to understand that.
So Tom, to your original question, possibly the second meeting in December, but not at the next meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't anticipate that being done.
So just, when I'm looking at the total number for expense for 26 to 27, it looks like it's flat in the general fund.
Well, so you know my budget's all out of whack.
Yeah, mine too.
Which sheet you looking at?
Yeah, what
That's a
page?
good question. Page 12 of 12, general fund expenses, the bottom line number looks flat here. But it feels like we have increases.
12 of 12?
So total general fund expenditures, 2.428 and 2.429. So it's largely flat. The big kind of increase is the new staff position in the highway fund.
But you know, aside from a couple of changes that we saw with appropriations.
Right.
This number is sound.
Correct.
So general fund.
The general fund,
Even with the 3.2% pay increase.
right.
We're flat.
Largely level funded. We were a little below, so we were basically flat. The highway was up 12. Those two balance out to about just under 5%. Right. When we make those, those two changes, if I recall the conversation from John Sanders correctly, they were going to go up, but it was not a substantive increase. It was, $10,000, $12,000.
Well, I think we made the conclusion. So you should talk to him, but I thought we also drew the conclusion that maybe we're under budgeting for fire equipment.
Yeah, I'll follow up with John, and then the police services is the discussion. That one could have an impact on that 4.7, 4.8% number, depending on what the board wants to do in terms of hours per week of coverage.
And staying with the appropriations, I didn't see any increases in the other agencies.
Not that we have seen. Michelle's been getting them in kind of, weekly.
There's one that might go to $12 different dollars. I forget which one it is. There's a signatures right now, at the top of my head.
But I think if I recall.
Yeah, it's like, they're asking what was $400. I think they're going to collect signatures for $1,200 in the organization.
But again, so that's
It's pretty level.
it's a big increase from 4 to 12, but that's $800. That doesn't have a meaningful impact on the budget as a whole.
Great.
Mouse gun prevention.
Yeah, $800 out of 4.2 million is not.
When do we find out what the school budget is?
We should find out by the end of November. And until that,
And nothing has been changed at the state level.
as far as
As far as we know.
Our state representatives that came to talk to us, do they have any further information for us? And where do we receive the information about education?
You're not going to, so a couple of things. One is they have to figure out from joint fiscal office what the revenues are for the various things. And then two, it's what the governor wants to do. So I know it's in the front page of the Valley News, but they had that committee out there to look at sort of consolidating things, and they punted it as far as what to do. But I think there is a lot of awareness and sensitivity to about the cost of education and what the state can do. But with the backdrop of what's going on in the federal government, there are also fewer revenues. So it's tough. We will not know, this year we didn't know till June, really, what the actual impact is, because it depends on what the state is going to provide, what the state aid taxes.
Right. And so we've been told that the bailout that the state did last year will not be here this year. So that was $1 million to offset the tax.
And our taxes, and that's as far as education is concerned.
Right.
And our taxes went up, what percentage in education last year?
I don't have those numbers.
The school tax?
Yes.
Less than the year before.
With no bailout. Right, so they're going to scrutinize our municipal town budget a lot more because of it.
They being
the town, is going to assume that we have something to do with the school budget and we can't control much of it.
Well, Trace, I think the general reaction to a taxpayer isn't, they don't worry about 80% for the school or 70% of the school.
It's just right,
the bottom line.
It's the bottom line.
In that part. So we're part of that bottom line, but not the.
But it sounds like enrollment went down. Right?
Correct. So it doesn't seem to matter.
It sounds like it dropped roughly 10% year-over-year.
Yeah, let's not sell the school.
I don't think we should anticipate it.
No, just,
which is bizarre
but
because
if your budget goes up 10%, but your enrollment dropped 10%, this is not perfect math, it's Barney math.
it's really bad
You're
math.
going up 20%.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just something to consider.
There's something wrong there. Yeah, absolutely.
Show up at the school meeting, guys.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think they can
Just
stop
to,
it either.
My kid left.
I don't want to keep saying the same thing, but we have an obligation to maintain what we have, right? Roads, buildings, bridges, culverts, staff, right? So the school has an outsized impact on the town, town taxes, but we have an obligation to make sure that we are, raising enough money to do things that we need to do and not fall behind or further behind.
We also have an obligation to make Quechee roads safe, so we're not looking at a $6 million lawsuit instead of a $6 million repair.
Exactly.
Okay, so it sounds like we're ready to leave the budget for now.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Bill?
Could we process, so we're going to take more testimony at our next meeting?
So that is a to be determined.
Well, if we only have 2 left, we need to hear from the fire department.
No, we
didn't get a budget for
We
it.
got a number.
We didn't get a number, and the request was if they're going to go up in request, that they should come and present that to the board.
Okay.
So if we don't hear from them by the next meeting, we're going to understand their level of funding.
Right, so I will reach out to Mr. Saban.
So here's what I'm getting at. It would be nice to maybe start to work on sections of the budget to see whether or not we want to make any changes to those sections. Something like that. I mean, sometimes it's hard in one meeting to go through the entire budget. The other thing the state government does a lot is they ask for a certain increase or decrease. So we could say, like, we would like the various departments to, I'll use cut their budget by 0.5%, whatever, see what that does. I mean, whatever it might be, because I think we keep, and again, this is because we're going to spend money on the Quechee Road, is that don't make it so we can't provide those valuable services, but we may not be able to provide, and I would say we probably would leave labor out of that discussion. I think we're not cutting labor.
If there's savings, I think we ought to be immediately bumping up the paving budget. Right, because we know we need the money to spend.
Right. Yeah, so transfer the savings into the highway department. Yeah.
That's just a thought. I mean, because
Yeah.
everybody does a really good job with their budgets. I don't think this is an unreasonable budget. However, we also have an unreasonable situation.
We do have an unreasonable set.
Yeah. Well, and to some degree, that's what I've had in mind, and that's why I asked that question amongst all three, to sort of say, should we be trimming? Help me understand where.
So if that request, we can do that and then talk about that at the next meeting. If the request was to take 1% or 0.5% or whatever it might be, right? And then at the next meeting, we can look at those reductions and the rest of the budget, those kind of the Foster Meadow Barns budget, like those other lines that are relatively small and easy to take a look at in the course of one meeting.
And then if we did do that, then we send it back to the rec department and the library and say, we want you to make, a percent rescission in your budget. You decide where you want to do it.
Right. That's a good idea.
Do you want to look at the little ones now? I mean, it might be just stuff we can knock out.
Sure. Yeah.
It's up to I think, the board as a whole.
I'd see the American Revolution at 8 o'clock. Yeah.
You got an hour and 10 minutes. So Martin had a question.
Just two quick things. Jim, the general fund stayed kind of static because of the lister's office, full-time position in insurance. And I think John Sanders said at the last meeting, he was planning on coming to the first meeting in December to go over the budget.
Okay.
Just an FYI.
Thanks.
Okay. What do you want to bring our attention to, John?
So I can just run through, so if we skip assessment, because I think there's a conversation to be had about police services and what, level of service we'd like per week. Just going down, so right now I'm on page 2 of 12, the general fund expenses.
Hold on.
I'll give you guys a second to get there.
Well, so just pulling this thing apart. Two of 12.
Ready? Trace?
You caught me.
Oh,
there it is.
Phil's getting this ruler
Okay,
too.
got there.
All right. So just going down, so looking at the constable, we reduced the constable's budget by half last year. So it's level funded for this coming year. It's the same service that we'd get.
I got an idea.
Yes, sir?
Let's finish that position.
Are we muted?
We are not.
Okay.
We're not.
The red light on me off.
It does look like it. But I had a conversation with Race about what is muted and what's not muted earlier, before we started. So
I'm apparently feeling like I was supposed to be muted personally here.
So did you want to talk about the constable?
Yes, let's talk about the constable position. You guys are looking at cutting things.
So we reduced the constable's budget by 50% last year. The constable is an elected position for 1 more year.
Okay. So no touch.
So I think that's a conversation to be had next budget cycle. Would make sense to me.
Okay.
Can I just throw it could be an elected official, but it's like an unfunded mandate. It could be just not be funded very well. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, it could be an elected position with zero budget, right? It could be an elected position with zero budget, right?
Okay.
However, I think, the person's been in the position for a long time.
Yeah, I get it.
So.
And there's equipment involved.
Right. I think we want to revisit that conversation next year, if that's a next year conversation. The animal control officer budget had actually gone down a little bit. A little bit of an increase, and a few lines, pay. Jim spends a lot of hours doing the job.
I don't want to touch that.
Straight expenses has gone down. The lister's budget has actually gone down. Again, that's from essentially 2 full-time positions down to 1 half-time position. We do have a consulting services line in there that was not there before for $10,250. That's both NIMRIC for professional assessing services and the work that Doug Linnell has been doing to both help with the grand list and bring the tax map up to date.
Given the fact that we cut a position and a half, you think that's enough to get the work done?
No, I don't. I don't believe that a half-time position is the right number currently.
So I guess the question is should the consulting number go up a little bit?
So I think we don't know at this point. We're still trying to, at this point, our assessing contractor has not really engaged in a super meaningful way. So we're not sure what that looks like long term. And then again, Doug's work will kind of taper off a little bit as the tax map is brought up to date, but he was really helpful, when it comes to the grant list, and Cheyenne's been pitching in some hours to do some work. So, but long term, I believe that's a full-time position.
So where is the money that we're putting away for the full town reappraisal?
So we're putting $15,000 a year away, and we have sufficient funds now. I believe we reduced it this year a little bit because we have sufficient funding.
Is that under listers or?
I believe it's at the end of
Assessment.
Yep. Sorry.
Page 2 of 12.
Okay. Is that under miscellaneous expense?
No, it's under assessment, page 2 of 12.
Top of the.
It's
Okay.
traditionally been 15,000, we reduced it to 10,000. Again, we have the money
one more,
currently
two.
in the reappraisal fund to do the work that will be done in 2029 and 2030.
There you go.
Here we go. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
The town clerk's budget remains the same. John's very good about making sure he has everything that he needs in order to do his job. Again, the finance budget has gone down just a little bit. There's essentially not much in terms of savings to be found there.
Right.
The ordinance administration and planning position remains vacant. That $20,000 that was in the budget in FY25 has been moved under the administration budget as contractual services. The planning commission budget did go down dramatically from FY25 when there was allocated money for the Sunnymead appeal. So they're back down to where they had been kind of historically. The Conservation Commission budget went up slightly, just in terms of professional services. They hire folks to do various projects throughout the course of the year. And you see that in the work that's being done at Sumner Falls, those trails that were built this past summer and things like that.
John, when does the Conservation Commission use their trust or whatever fund they have for conservation?
The transfer out to the fund?
Yeah, when do they use the fund itself?
I don't know that they've ever used the fund or what it's.
I guess the question would be, is there one and what's the balance?
If there is a balance, it's nominal, right?
I thought it was, it was more than nominal.
I don't have the audit.
7 to 10,000.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
And they haven't used it in many years. I think the last article I saw was years ago.
Okay.
But I guess that's a good point, that we should keep in mind if there's a request that there's money there.
There isn't.
So like,
Right.
So when you look at things like Sumner Falls and the North Hartland School, skipping a few there, those are just essentially keeping the things on. We've reduced the budget at the North Hartland School. The lights are off, the water's off, the doors are locked.
but
I shouldn't say
sorry,
the lights are off. We keep the outside light on above the side door there.
why do we still have fuel in the budget?
For the North Hartland School? Because we keep the heat on so that nothing,
What kind of heat is it?
I think there's an oil tank buried there.
If
They shouldn't be using any, and again,
So there's a point here somewhere. If it's forced hot water and the water's off, that's not gonna work.
Right.
So why not just turn off the heat? But, just save the money on fuel.
So we could turn the heat off completely. It was last winter when we were meeting in the school periodically, once every 6 weeks or so to talk about the usage of the building. Heating it from 30 to reasonable temperature is a lot more work than keeping it at 50. And again, if you look at FY25, we had just over $2,000 in fuel and we used $20, right? So it's not money that we're spending, it's money that we have in the budget in case we need to use it.
But I think we have a suspect oil tank, don't we?
Well, it is reasonable to make that assumption, yes,
So it might just be safer, right,
to drain it.
to drain it and shut down the heat. There's no water, there's no water.
I think that for resale value, and I know that we're not there, that if you freeze a building, there's a footing involved. And when the building freezes, things contract and expand and they heave. So if there's any value in the building at all, which we don't know because we tried to put it up for sale and that got turned down by the voters. So I'm thinking that probably keeping some heat on is not a bad idea.
Yeah. Then you gotta make sure the heating system doesn't require water.
Right.
So we should check into it.
I'll do a little investigation and make sure that that's, looking at the Foster Meadow Library, again, page 5 of 12. The electricity there, we talked about the electricity bill that we pay monthly for the library. It's high. I've called Green Power about it. I have not heard back yet in terms of why that bill is so high monthly. There are repairs and maintenance line, and that repairs and maintenance line will come up. So for the library, Damon Hall, the rec center, the Four Corners building, it's all about the same number. That's something that if we wanted to increase that repairs and maintenance, because we know we have significant needs at each one of those buildings, should be something to be considered.
But this is where we go circle back to the capital plan.
Correct.
And decide, we have money set aside.
Right.
What projects are we gonna do?
Right. What we don't have is, I've yet to find a contractor who's willing to walk around with each building and say the stairs are going to be X. We have the report from 20.
We've got estimates.
What's that?
We have estimates.
We have estimates, but they're 3 years old.
Right.
So
you can apply an inflation factor to the estimates.
Right. You could.
We just need an estimate to go
inflation.
forward. We don't need perfect math.
Right. And so the library, Martin Memorial, Damon Hall, the barn, those are all kind of those kind of one-off budgets, and you keep that just over $80,000 per year annually in there in terms of maintenance. If we jump to page 7 of 12 now, again, you see the rec center, the repairs and maintenance is 8,000, the activity center, so Four Corners, 5,000. Or we upped it this year because we know from the inspection reports and with the potential new tenant that we will have an increase in needs there, at least short term.
Yep.
The garage, Damon Hall, those are all kind of the standard telephone, internet, fuel. So there's not much to be found there in terms of savings. Jim, to your point, that capital improvements section in page 8 is where there could be some bigger numbers going in there.
Yeah, but there are some things we can do without putting it in the budget, right? So we've got project list, and we've already got money set aside.
We do have money set aside.
So those are the things that are the most important to figure out, so that we know that we don't need more money in the budget,
Right.
or that we can cut some.
Right, and I don't know that the intent from the ARPA committee was to use the entire unencumbered fund balance to do kind of building repairs. If you look at the project list.
I think we decided on the project list that it was gonna be fun, and that was the January culvert and several other things, right?
Yeah, it's just a set of recommendations that came.
Right, it was recommendations, but.
So I think we just gotta figure, rather than sit on that money, and let the front steps deteriorate, let's get the projects mapped out, let's get them done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as John referred, we had, I was helping to pursue 2 different quotes for the front stairs, and we just couldn't get, the people were too busy or whatever. And I don't want to repeat the mistake that we did a couple of years ago, and we had inappropriate materials that only lasted, 2 years, 3 years, and those stairs came apart, so. Anyway. So where are we?
So now that's basically, we're down into appropriations, and those numbers are changed. Yeah. So what you can see is that if there's money to be found, it's in the $1,000 here, $500 there. It's not a significant amount of money that's going to change the overall budget.
Yeah.
So we can revisit those in more detail, but
No, I knew that.
We flew through that very quickly.
No, but I mean, I knew that.
Yeah.
So really all we have to finalize is fire department and policing.
Right. And we're going to talk about the first meeting in December.
Yeah, I think even though I conceptually know that we have to take care of our own budget, I think we're all aware of if the impact of the school budget would spill over and cause a wave in our budget. So we need that information.
Yeah, right. And as soon as we have it, we certainly pass along.
Okay, we're ready to move on?
Yeah, please.
Everyone's looking a little dazed. Actually went for a noontime break because I was reading page 12 about 5 times when I realized I still wasn't recording anything, so I got out. Okay, moving on to new business. we have a town plan that has officially passed from the planning commission to ourselves as select board. It's come with a list of possible changes.
It's come with it, so.
Go ahead, John.
So the planning commission on the 5th approved, or the 12th, I don't remember the date, approved the town plan. They approved the town plan that was published as a draft by them. We know that there are typos and small errors within that plan that need to be addressed. They took in comments during the public hearing that were not addressed. They chose to pass that list along to the select board for your feedback or incorporation into the plan if needed. And so what the board needs to do is set a plan in action to review the town plan and then hold 2 additional public hearings and adopt the plan.
So there's corrections?
There are minor typos and corrections that are needed, we know. And then some of the feedback, I'll use Tom as an example. Tom provided feedback on the North Heartland industrial area along Quarry Road, which, it was a valid point, and we may want to incorporate that, a change in language into the plan. And we can do, the select board can now make all those changes without it needing to go back to the planning commission.
Two Rivers owns the document, right?
Two Rivers was managing the document for the planning commission, yes.
They don't own it.
Right, we own the document.
Heartland Planning Commission owns the document.
Well, the select board does now at this point.
Well,
Yes.
correct. We own it.
Yeah. They were managing, because they had found that there had been various kind of iterations and versions of things out there. They took ownership of it when Two Rivers came on board to help them move the process to completion.
Right. So I think we have a few things to talk about tonight. John gave us a municipal plan amendments form for.
This is the report that came from Two Rivers as a part of the planning commission's adoption or approval of the plan.
Okay.
This is a required document. So saying how it complies with state law. And if they made any changes, how those changes are in compliance.
So we have to digest that, but also the town plan has multiple chapters. I think we would all quickly agree the land use chapter is a key chapter that certainly took a lot of time and effort on the planning commission. Do we ask ourselves to divide the chapters and we talk about them, or do we just talk about the whole?
I'm going to throw out a suggestion. I would say it's important for us to read, each of us, to read land use and read economic development, right? Some of the middle chapters like energy, things like that, planning commission worked on it, Two Rivers worked on it. I think that's, I trust that they've gotten done what they need to get done. Mm-hmm. Land use, economic development, I think are the 2 key areas. We read that. If there are policy changes that people feel strongly about, you bring them to the meeting, we debate it, we decide what we're going to do, and then we have a hearing. Right. But I'm open for other suggestions beyond that.
So I think the planning commission would admit that a lot of their effort went into the land use chapter. So I think that's the one that saw the most significant changes over the course of their plan development. Mm-hmm. They touched all of them. Housing is another one that I think you might want to look at in a little more detail.
It's a separate chapter.
There's a housing chapter. Yeah. Because I believe they spent some time there and some of their land use designations.
I think it's housing in a new chapter.
Housing is
housing's been in there for a while.
But they spent quite a bit of time there as well. So
that makes sense.
And why did you mention economic development?
I think land use and economic development tie together a little bit. And maybe I'm using the wrong chapter name. I can go back on that. But there's
in all candor, we don't really have much economic development in this town. We don't have any sewer and water. And so you'll see is just really a lot of statistic. I agree with you. The land use chapter is the most important chapter, especially if we're going to develop zoning bylaws
Yeah.
or some type of regulation, because the zoning bylaws have to be consistent with the future land use chapter. So we have to make sure, that we do that.
But I suspect that land use references the economic development chapter. When I think
Yeah,
about.
I can't
what's allowed
remember. I
here, what's
perused it
allowed
already.
here.
I just,
I think you're right. I mean, with the descriptions of what can happen in rural or the in-between rural and non-rural areas is often economic development as well as housing development on that part. So the budget is our top priority for the next few meetings. Are we okay to slide this for a few meetings with the idea that each one of us should start diving into some of the recommended chapters? Two ways so far.
but I want to make sure we do not do what the planning commission did, is I want us to have a public hearing to take comment before we decide on these chapters, so that we can consider them when we're doing our edits.
So do you want to have a public hearing or a public meeting to discuss the town plan?
I want to have a public hearing as required by law.
One of the two required.
One of the two.
Okay.
So we can have one.
So you may know this answer, but I was under the impression, I read this a long time ago, I don't remember it well. But I was under the impression that if we made significant changes after the first public hearing, we reset the clock and still had to do two more.
No, we're still going to be in the hearing process.
Right.
So if it would be on the final public hearing,
Okay.
if we changed the land use chapters,
Then we'd
then
have to do it.
we would have to start again.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And I'm sorry, economic development is only 3 pages.
Yeah, I'm not.
Just for credit, just-
So the other thing I just want to add is, I think given there's already been comment, I would suggest we try to squeeze in a public hearing during the budgeting process, just to get one done, to hear it, hear some
It's
comments.
gonna be 3-day warning, right?
15.
15-day warning.
Okay.
So we could schedule so 2 questions then. If we want to schedule one in December, do you want to schedule a public hearing at a warned select board meeting? Like either for the first half of the select board meeting, or do you want to have what would in essence be a third meeting?
I think we're gonna be busy in December with budget and articles.
Yeah.
Right? I would say first meeting in January,
And then so the first meeting in January would be,
because we have to do the articles for the.
right, so the first half of the meeting could be a public hearing. You could close that public hearing, have a regularly scheduled select board meeting to do things like the orders and any other small business items that existed.
Yeah, and the other reality is just getting the general public out in the latter part of December.
So we can,
Get busy. We didn't answer your question. I think we talked about letting it slide a little bit, not too.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if that's what we want to do.
And then the
Yeah.
second is, do we have it as a normal select board meeting, kind of part A and part B, which seems to make sense to me, rather than.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the public hearing, you must have a quorum. So, we're
it's a
going to
regularly
have to
scheduled
have.
meeting anyway.
So it's going to be a regularly scheduled meeting anyways.
Right.
I think because the planning commission already had a meeting and people gave comment, if we make it known to folks, we're going to be considering all those comments.
Yeah.
Well, during our process. I don't know how much people generally don't show up for these things. It was pretty surprising to see as many people here as there were, so. But, yeah.
So I think we have a little bit of time, at least the first meeting in December, to set that in place, because we still have that 15-day, plenty of 15 days if we want to do it for the first meeting in January. Or given that the first meeting in January will be so close to the holidays, to delay until what would be the second meeting in January,
Right.
the third Monday.
It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Right.
Because I think the first Monday in January is pretty darn close to the first.
And then remember, after we're done, it then goes to Two Rivers. They're going to have a public hearing. The board has to approve it.
Okay.
And then you have it approved. So right now, we don't have a regionally approved town plan.
So they approve it after we do.
Well,
That's the process.
we don't, correct, but we do have a town plan.
We do have a
We do have a town plan, and we do have, Two Rivers has worked with the planning commission to ensure that the plan as presented now is approvable by Two Rivers.
So you're saying the only thing that could go wrong is if we screw it up?
I was trying to be more delicate about that, but yes.
Okay, so in addition to that timeframe, let's make sure people crack open the town plan and start looking through it.
I think as John said, read the housing in the land use chapter.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are in the beginning of the policies. See if you like all the policies that they have in the beginning.
If anybody needs a copy of the town plan that was approved, let me know. We can make that happen.
It's great reading.
It's already emailed to us.
It was.
Yeah,
It was
right. You have it digitally, but if there are those among you who like,
Who's talking about you?
I read it already.
yeah,
I'm way ahead of you, buddy. I fell asleep 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
I joined a club, Jay.
Biggest bar and coffee.
I tried. I read the whole thing, and my retention, I have to go back and go through it all over again. I'm glad that you mentioned only going over a few sections of it.
There were no cliff notes. Okay, we're ready to move on to town manager update.
Great. So, first, Thanksgiving is next week. Town offices are closed Thursday and Friday. Just be aware. We are continuing to work with Horizon Engineering on finalizing a design for the culvert at the corner of Densmore Hill and Jennyville. They were out there last week doing some test pits. We have a preliminary design. I'm meeting with the engineers next week out there. I think there's, as to be expected, it's a challenging site and there are some concerns. So trying to find the kind of a reasonable path forward there is.
Is it design concerns or is it neighbor concerns?
It's design concerns.
Okay.
It's design, because the stone wall, as you're going up Densmore Hill, forms the edge of the channel there. There's design concerns there. Yeah. So it's a challenging site, and we knew that going in, and that's why we selected the consultant that we did. One of the reasons.
Is that the wall on the side towards Wilder's house?
No, it's the other, well, it's both sides, actually. It's both sides, actually, yeah. So, we finally got a proposal from Chippers to remove the trees at the Wood Road Cemetery. It is, as to be expected, would eat up all of the cemetery commission tree budget. I believe the town has already spent, the large part of our budget for this year. So we would just have to deficit spend on trees to get that done. But if we sign it and get it, move forward on it, hopefully, weather dependent, we can get it done in December. Otherwise, it's going to wait until, after mud next spring.
So what did it come in at?
It is $10,250. That is the large pine tree. Go ahead.
So the large pine tree in the middle.
The large pine tree in the middle, the dead ash along the back wall, and then they are also recommending for that price to take down some additional pine that are on the way towards dying as well. The abutting property owner is letting us access through their land and leave the trees in the forest there. So we're saving money by not having to have it chipped and hauled away.
John, which cemetery again?
The Weed Road Cemetery. Yeah.
Good. And did we get a second quote?
We have not gotten a second quote. This quote was challenging to get because of the logistics of getting in heavy machinery into the cemetery.
They're doing a crane from the road?
They're bringing a crane in across the abutting, the study.
Trying to pull up backwards, even the pine tree.
Yep.
It's hard, it looks like our private to the land.
And we looked at, they looked at a number of, access points. In essence, it's really.
But the pine tree is like ready to kill somebody. It's massive limbs. Ready to kill.
Huge.
I have pine trees on my property that they're in the right of way of Green Mountain Power's lines, and they can't climb them anymore. So now they're just waiting for something. The next
Do you have a
one.
rather long-term power failure?
Right. So, we'd like to move forward with that and get that signed and.
But do you need anything from us, or is this?
Nope, no, just for your awareness, because we've talked about it a handful of times. Fireworks are significantly more expensive now and probably, moving forward. So our
Probably about 2 years worth this year.
So we got a quote from last year, we spent about $14,000 on fireworks. For the same show this year, it will be $20,000.
Whoa.
So that exceeds what we have budgeted for Old Home Days. And the Old Home Days budget is not solely fireworks, but largely it's fireworks. So we'll have to, to keep the same show, if that's the desire, we'll have to find other ways to kind of make up that money from here until July.
Your thoughts on that?
Old Home Days is a popular event, and I know that there's at least one staff member presently in the audience who likes things that are big and loud and go boom. So
go to a movie theater.
Right.
They've got a lot of big bang boom.
For 6 cents on my tax bill, I'm okay with it.
So my recommendation is to keep it, and it's not an insignificant amount of money we'll have to make up over the course of the year, but I think it's feasible to do.
I don't want to make work, but is it worth looking for sponsors?
So what we could do is instead of looking for sponsors, we could look to offset some of the other costs of Old Home Days. So they pay a kind of small fee, vendors pay a small fee to show up and sell stuff. We could increase that fee and then offset some of that cost.
But you're talking small numbers there.
Right, we're talking small numbers. One of the ideas was to look at neighboring towns to see if we could collaborate. Heartland's Old Home Days is in and of itself kind of a unique event. We're not just doing fireworks.
I'm just thinking the Hartland fireworks brought to you by Sunny Farm.
We can certainly ask the question. If we can do that, then great.
Well, the ballroom's being brought to you by Amazon, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of small businesses would probably.
Yeah, so we can put together a letter and send it out to kind of small businesses, property owners in town, and if it's $50 or $100 or more, then it would help to cover some of those costs.
Just put like a little sign up somewhere that says who the sponsors are.
And the only problem with that is that it's a budgeted item, and every year that price is going to go up. And this is where, we try to not get into that, because we try to have things in the budget so you don't constantly have to go to work to get donated money for an event that takes place. And
I think we can anticipate this cost moving forward. The big change from last year to this year is tariffs. This is simply the actual cost of the fireworks.
Surprise, surprise.
Well, a lot of towns, I think Brownsville does a lot of donation.
Yeah,
They have a chart right at the.
yeah, they have a thermometer out by the post office.
Right there, right by the post office.
Yeah, right. So Phil, you already mentioned that we're finishing up the Quechee Road on Wednesday this week, just putting down some hay mulch. We had a nice staff breakfast last Friday. Cheyenne kind of organized. It was nice to road crew, town staff, everybody was invited.
Was there a good attendance?
There was good attendance. Okay. It was nice to see everybody and kind of be able to talk about non-related things. We did.
No, who cooked?
Mostly Cheyenne and Michelle.
That's sexist, anything?
Well, I brought fruit.
Oh, no.
Okay, look, it's time to go. I was going to talk about the Quechee Road, but we'll save that for next.
Be careful, because we'll be asked to do the cooking and serving for the next.
And then just real quick, we'll be doing some deck repair in the Martinsville covered bridge this week. Just some of the boards on the ground need to be replaced. So
Okay, excellent.
that'll get taken care of. Good. One day.
Are you done?
In the sake of time, yes.
I wanted to know your reaction to hearing from Historical Preservation and the bridges out in North Hartland.
So the V-Trans said they will give me an update in the coming months.
But it seems like they want to move forward with it.
It is not dead in the water.
Yeah.
Right.
No, my question bringing that up is,
if we decide to move forward with them, then we're not gonna make any changes to that bridge, then, which means our temporary agreement with the people off of Quarry Road is not going to be temporary.
It becomes a more permanent agreement.
It's a permanent.
But when V-Trans came, right, I don't know the engineering involved. When they came, they basically presented, there were 3 possibilities for weight for that bridge to carry.
Right.
And I think, I'm not sure where we arrived at, I forget the numbers, it's like an H12 or something like that. So the potential, they could increase the weight capacity. They won't be able to increase height or width or anything else.
But so this is, if we go through the historic bridge program, our options are somewhat.
Our options are somewhat limited, and we have a bridge that you would have to cross that has its own weight.
That becomes our problem.
Right.
Or a smaller bridge that, we were trying to be nice 20 years ago and make it decorative, and we really needed it to be functional.
Right.
And I'm just making, I'm not, I'm just making a statement when I read through that.
Wanted to add like one additional heavy task to the town.
Well, we want to keep you here forever. All right, you don't have to cook breakfast. You deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
So
Yeah.
Don, you're set?
Yes.
I need to quickly ask for a volunteer, a second person to sign the warrants next Tuesday. I'm out of town.
I can do it.
You can do it? Okay. The more the merrier.
We need 2 signatures weekly. Normally it's Phil and Clyde sign them.
Tom, you got it?
That's it.
I got it.
Okay,
Tom and
thank
Clyde.
you. Okay, unless you fly to Cary, North Carolina. That's it.
It's not gonna be next week. It's in December they start.
And he's going to take us all this time to the NCAAs. Okay, back on track. Future agenda items. We just talked about the North Heartland covered bridges, the capital plan.
Yep.
We just need to revisit again. I don't think there's anything more on the cemetery update. We have a plan for the spring. I'm doing that. Dirt roads, speed limits.
It's a question that's come up about in getting a legal opinion on whether or not the board has the authority to change the speed limits on dirt roads throughout town.
Okay.
That's
And
a you problem.
That is it. Yeah, yes, and I will provide you an update in a future board meeting,
That's good.
in a future agenda.
That's perfect. You can tell us if we can reduce the speed limit to 30 miles an hour, and can we put the speed limit signs on the roads, because there really isn't any.
Yeah, on Dennyville, I figured out that there are 7 signs that aren't there.
Right.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm getting really hungry.
Somebody needs a Snickers
What did you say?
Somebody needs a Snickers bar.
Are you hangry?
I'm probably coming off my Snicker bar high right now.
We haven't had a meeting this long in a while.
Are we okay with talking about did we talk about the Quechee Road enough to know about the plan that we're talking about?
No, but given the time of day, I don't know that we want to start that discussion right now.
Great. We are not dropping
Thank you, Mark.
the Quechee Road. We've been working on that this week. Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Okay, then we do have an executive session. I'm not sure if we're going to have an action or not.
So I'll make a motion whether we go to executive session under 1 V.S.A. 313A3 to discuss employment and personnel issues.
I'll second the motion.